Did a video a while back on an Epson 2720 and how to clean the heads without using power clean by running some color sheets through. I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments on this. Yes, it works for most people, not for everybody. What I have here sitting on the table in parts and pieces is a Epson 2800 Eco Tank printer that someone had bought last December. Looking at the date on the test sheets, their first print was 12/21 of 21. No, 12/22 of 2021. There we go. And it's hopelessly clogged up, and they put sublimation ink in it, and it just doesn't work. It's been torn apart. There's parts on it that are broken. I bought it for parts. I bought this really cheap. So I'm going to get into this and see what I can do with it coming up. I'm Roger, welcome to the shop, and yeah, this printer's really tore up. There's some broken parts on it where somebody had tried to open it up and didn't know what they were doing and just kept prying until they broke the plastic. But it's not beyond repair. But they said the heads were hopelessly clogged and nothing worked on it. So I'm going to get into this to show you a few things that if you are brave enough to get into one of these printers, they are dickens to work on. Things that I found here. Yeah, I'm having to hold this up with one hand because whoever was in there before broke the bracket off of this side so it doesn't just prop. But I have this all opened up, and what you see here, that's where your ink goes in, and there's a little storage compartment in there, and these go lap in and out just like a old style print cartridges. And I can see this one here is almost empty, so it's not getting any ink. Actually, I could look at the yellow one and see the same thing. So the ink is not getting there. There's a number of things it could be. It could be that the lines are clogged at the bottom from sediment. Some types of ink form sediment. And sometimes shaking a printer around a little bit, you can get that cleared up. But what I'm going to try to do next is run some of my color sheets through it and see what I can get by running the just the basic cleaning thing through there. I can get the black to print just fine. And if I look at the black cartridge over here, see, it's full of ink. So we got something going on down there. So very carefully let this down again. If you're not careful with it, all the scanner cords will come unplugged from this printed circuit board, and this will not work if they're not plugged in, even though you're not using the scanner. So I get this powered back up and see if I can't get it onto my computer and run some test sheets through it. Printing the magenta sheet right now just out of curiosity. I see I'm not getting anything on it at all. The ink tanks are full, and this one here is a yellow. And nothing on that one. And this here's a cyan, and there's just a very, very faint line on there from the cyan. Lastly, I'll do the black here. This is on high speed, but just to kind of get an idea. So I've got some lines in it, but it does print. I've turned off the bidirectional printing and set the quality to high. I have a few little lines here at the very top, and then a spot of ink from something, I don't know what. But I don't see anything else on there. That tells me that the ink is just not getting to that little cartridge in there on the head. So I need to look into that a little further. That was a cyan. Now I'll try one of the other colors. I keep getting printing is suspended due to a paper mismatch, although I do have it set correctly, so I don't know what is up with that, but there is a way around it. And here again, there's nothing on the paper. I may have to run this several times and try to get ink up into there. Or the lines are plugged, one of the two. If the lines are plugged, I'll have to unhook them and try to blow some air back through the other direction using a syringe. This is a data sheet. I'm doing a prime on this right now. I'm repriming the printer. They've only printed 110 pages with this, and I've done probably 8 of those. And the first time printing, again, was 12/22 of 2021. So whoever had this did not get much life out of it and must have let it set somewhere for too long without printing. It did have, I was informed it did have sublimation ink in it. I don't know what brand. There wasn't enough in here to prime, so I had to load it. I'm using Hippo ink. Hopefully I'm not wasting it. Give you a little view of the side of it here. As you can see, there's ink smudges all over from someone attempting to work on it. and they had broken the one hinge as I showed you on the top, and broke a few things here too, but it can all be put back together. There are screws that hold a lot of these things together. You just have to take them out first. Well, there's the yellow. No lines in it. Well, there's a cyan. No lines in it. So there's a magenta. That's looking good. One more to go. Well, I haven't quite figured out this paper mismatch thing. It's not like I don't know how to run one of these printers. Well, now we're doing the black. And you'll notice the colors here if you're doing this and working on a non-sublimation printer that you're having the head clogs problem on. Sublimation ink prints very dull like this. This is normal. And once that is put onto the substrate that you're sublimating to, it becomes bright and brilliant. So the dull type color is normal. It's got a big gust of wind blow a bunch of stuff over here. Well, this is interesting. Now, this is the black, and as you can see, most of the paper is white. I've got a little bit of black up here and some lines, and that's it. Then I got to figure out what's up with the black cartridge here. I know it's full of ink. Okay, so a whole bunch of sheets later, and I mean a bunch. Here's our black. This was the one previous to this one. It still had some lines in it. So I decided to run it one more time. So I can kind of get this one out of the way. I'll lay these out. The scanner cover's laying back there. I can put that back on pretty easy. So there's our black. Magenta. Cyan and yellow. Just like that. So there's our four colors. Yellow, cyan, magenta, and black. We got the thing working. Now I just got to figure out how to put all this back together and glue together all those broken parts. So there it is, a completely junk printer made to work again. Like I said, I've got some broken plastic parts to glue back together and put back together. I wanted to show how to open one of these printers up, but since everything was broken, it was kind of hard to show. But this piece belongs inside the printer on the front, and there is a little piece that slides down into a track on here. So when you open the printer, it stops. If you then push that little plastic piece back, it'll follow the track, and you can open up the printer farther. Whoever had this before literally just broke the hinge off the back. I don't know if they tried to open it from the back or what, but then they pried off the side here without taking the screw out, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of glue in there. And this cover goes on the inside, and hopefully the pieces that this snaps into are not broke off, because if they are, I can't find them. This snaps in, and then there's a little ball on the top here, the little spring underneath it that goes into a detent. That holds it. That covers the front of your cartridges that are inside the printer. I also took the maintenance tank cover off. That's what this here is. I just wanted to see how much was in the maintenance tank if someone had kept trying to do power cleans or something, and there's very little in it, so I don't need to replace the maintenance tank. This one here does have a replaceable maintenance tank. And if you do too many cleanings, especially power cleanings, you'll fill that maintenance tank up and you'll have to replace it. On some of the lower printers, like on the 2720, there are some aftermarket people that make that maintenance tank, but Epson doesn't offer it for that printer. So, one of the other questions I get a lot is, you know, I ran all these sheets and it's not doing anything, and I run 50 of them, and I probably ran a good 50 sheets by the time I got through all this to get this to print again, because the little cartridges inside that go down on the head, it may have been from the person that messed with this last, they were not seated all the way, and therefore they didn't have any ink on them. And that's why I had to do kind of a prime there, and what I did do for a prime to get ink back into those cartridges was I did run power clean. That did not completely clean the nozzles though. That just refilled the little ink tanks that are above the nozzles. If they fail to fill, sometimes sediment forms, depending on what brand ink you are using, and it's especially prevalent with sublimation ink, and especially on the magenta for some reason. If you pick your printer up, disconnect it, take paper out, and do this, several times. Don't get wild with it. You have ink flying all over and you have a mess. But just shake it back and forth, shake it back and forth, and that may free up whatever sediment was in there and get it back into the solvent that it's in that dye pigment and let it flow again. As I've said before, your mileage may vary. This doesn't work for everybody, but it works for most. So when I saw this printer so cheap on eBay is where I got it, I thought, well, I'm going to buy that just to do a demonstration if it's even repairable, and this one was, other than I got plastic parts to glue together, just to show that it can be done. Just have to have some patience. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. Always helps the channel. I'm Roger in the shop. Epson printer, get them nozzles cleared up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.